Welcome back to Mangrove Lagoon. I hope you're having a blessed day. This is something I've been wanting to do for a little while, kind of been planning it for a while. I've had this tank up and running for a little over 6 months. I've had the trees, the mangrove trees, for over 2 years now. I've been growing them. Started out in a little 10-gallon, then moved them into a 20-gallon, and then moved them over here into this 4-foot by 3-foot tank just a little over 6 months ago. But I've been wondering kind of what these mangroves are pulling out of the water. I know I'd put in root tabs down in there. If I don't, I get some pretty good yellowing of the leaves here. If I keep up with the root tabs, I don't, but you can see this one right there, how it's gotten real yellow. After that, the new leaves have grown out nicely. No more of that yellowing. But that's out of the substrate. But I don't know what else they're pulling out. I don't know what they're pulling out of the water column. I don't test for a whole lot of things. All I test for are basically phosphates and nitrates every couple weeks. Obviously, I test for my salinity, temperature. I do a pH check, but it's been the same for 2 years now. So it has not changed, 8.15. But I do not test for alkalinity, calcium. I do have a magnesium test. I've done it a couple times. It's maybe a little bit low, but not that bad. But I'm wondering what other kind of elements, trace elements, things these trees might be pulling out that I don't know or are not easy to test for. I'm suspecting I'm going to get some interesting results. First off, I have never really been able to keep any kind of shelled invertebrates. Shrimp and crabs. I've tried multiple shrimp, multiple crabs. I've only had one shrimp ever last through about 3 or 4 molts. I had a pistol shrimp. He made it for a little while. But all the crabs I've had, none of them have ever molted before they've perished. I've had multiple shrimp. I've tried about 3 or 4 of them that have all perished pretty quickly afterwards. So I'm sensing, or I'm just guessing, I probably have low iodine. Now I have been, the past 2 or 3 months, I've been dosing the Brightwell Aquatics iodine, just a couple capfuls after every water change. I do water changes. I change 10% every week, and I'm pretty good about that. I might have missed 1 or 2 over the past 6 months, but not very often. But I've been wanting to try out an ICP test. Anyone who doesn't know what an ICP test is, you take a sample of your water, you send it to this company, and I think this one, it's the Fauna. I think they test 36 different elements, along with salinity, nitrates, phosphates, magnesium, calcium, alkalinity. They do all kinds of stuff that I don't know or that there aren't even tests for. So I'm curious to see. I'm not going to run through the whole process of me, doing the test and showing you how to do it. I'm sure everyone can read directions and do it on their own. But I'll be back. Hopefully I get the results back in a couple weeks. I'm going to do it just in a few minutes. Send it on out in the mail tomorrow and hopefully get everything back shortly. So I should be back hopefully in a couple of weeks, and I'll post the results and we can talk about them here. Well, it's been a couple of weeks. I finally got my lab results back. I actually got them back last week, but it took about 11 days turnaround. I think you first ship it over to someplace over in Louisiana. I live in Texas, so that didn't take very long. And then they actually send it over to Germany, so it ships over there, and then they test it, and they got it back. So it wasn't as long as I thought. 11 days wasn't really bad. They send you a PDF with everything they measured. Now there are 2 different fauna marine test kits. One that tests like 90, 100 different elements, and the one that tests like 35 or so. And I just bought the cheaper one. I just bought the $35 test one, and so I'll kind of run you through the PDF right now. So here's the PDF that they send you. You can see it has a reference range with the green in the middle being ideal, and then kind of a range that you want to be in, and then a measured for everything. And so these ones are, you can see the macro elements, calcium and stuff, and the sodium, my salt level is pretty good. The potassium was actually decent. Someone had wrote on one of the comments that they had low potassium when they were raising mangroves. And then my magnesium actually is good too. Now, I have been dosing a little bit of magnesium whenever I do a water change. So all of these were pretty good. I had one that was a little high, but nothing I would be real concerned about. Throughout this whole thing, I was pretty surprised with everything. Here are the nutrients, macronutrients. So you can see phosphates and total phosphorus and silicone. Again, my phosphates are a little high, but I have no skimmer on this, and I'm not using any filter socks, so I'm not too worried about where the phosphates are at right now. These dynamic elements, they call them, nickel, copper, a lot of them other ones that I don't even want to try and pronounce to embarrass myself. Everything was a little bit low, but again, not really anything that I would be too concerned or things I really want to start dosing or changing. I'm not trying to run an SPS tank. And then these are other trace elements. These kind of look all over the place if you look at the graph on the right from where the ideal range should be. But if you look at my actual measured compared to the reference range, they're all pretty relevant. They're all pretty right where they should be, at least within the range. So, and then here's kind of pollutants and stuff like that, which I pretty much didn't have any detectable pollutants in there. The aluminum was in the range. The rest of them were all ND. I would think just not testable. So I was pretty pleased with everything I got back. I thought my iodine might be low because I hadn't been able to keep any shrimp or anything like that, or any kind of hard-shelled crabs, anything that needs to molt. But I have been adding the Brightwell Aquatics iodine whenever I do a water change, a couple capfuls. So it was actually detectable and not too bad. So I was quite pleased so far with the ICP test results that I got back, and I'm really not going to make any changes. I'm just going to keep doing weekly water changes and enjoy this simple reef tank as is. So again, thank y'all for watching, and hope y'all enjoy your day. Please take a few moments to be thankful for everything we have in this world and appreciative for being able to keep reefs like this and be as blessed as we are. Thank you. Bye.